And we are here today to have a hearing entitled Rare Diseases Expediting Treatment for Patients. And I'll begin with an opening statement before we introduce the panel. Through our hearing today, I intend to examine regulatory barriers to entry for drugs that treat rare diseases, also known as orphan drugs. The FDA defines orphan diseases as those with fewer than 200,000 patients. There are over 7,000 conditions that science has identified affecting nearly 30 million patients just in the U.S. Unfortunately, about 90% of these are serious or life-threatening conditions, and most have no FDA-approved treatment. The standard for approval of orphan drugs is similar, if not the same, as those for more common conditions. It can take upwards of a decade sometimes for a drug to make it from the bench to bedside, and costs can be upwards of $2 billion. For terminal patients waiting for the cure that may never come, or one that comes too late, is simply not an option. Therefore, families and patients often resort to importation of drugs approved overseas, off-label use, or may turn to dangerous chemical-grade products. As a physician, I understand how rare diseases affect the body and manifest themselves through devastating and debilitating symptoms. Even in my family alone, I have a nephew who has neurofibromatosis too, and we've had to deal with a disease that's not very common and many people have not seen, even many physicians have not seen. As a parent, I can only imagine, though, the overwhelming desperation and hopelessness of being confronted with a fatal diagnosis and being told to simply enjoy the remaining time that their child has left. To the extent that government can improve efficiencies to speed access to treatments for patients and families facing such a situation, such action should be taken without delay. Despite providing the FDA with numerous tools to expedite approvals and continually increasing resources, review times have not decreased. Over the life of the current user fee agreement, the FDA will take in more than $4 billion in user fees from the drug industry, amounting to over 70% of the agency's review budget for these products. Since the beginning of my time in the Senate, I have worked to ensure that the FDA has had the authority to accept data from foreign countries. Yet despite these efforts, duplicative trials and testing are still required in order to bring most drugs to market. In addition, drugs approved in Europe are not harmonized with the FDA's process, causing problems in an increasingly globalized scientific community. I hope we can work together today and in the future to find solutions that work to expedite treatment for these patients. With that, I'd like to recognize the ranking member, Senator Casey.